The Industrial Revolution was a major turning point in history for people's lives in England and all around Europe. Before the Industrial Revolution was a peaceful and easy life for almost everyone. Most people lived in the outskirts of towns and cities. Before the Industrial Revolution, there was a cottage industry. The cottage industry was a way to take advantage of farmers' free time in order to produce good textures. These textures were then sold for a reasonable price, but this ended up helping England bring the Industrial Revolution because it boosted the English economy through trade of the textures. Before the Industrial Revolution, people mostly lived in the country and on farm, but only 1 out of 10 people lived in the city. People's lives did not change very much during this time. From 1300 to 1750, the average person did not work for long hours. People lived on small pieces of land and grew crops for their own need. Everyone would help, even the children. The children helped on the farm, growing and taking care of the crops. They learned to milk the cows, make butter, and take care of the farm animals. What was the Industrial Revolution? This was a revolution that did not include battles, wars, or riots. It was a revolution of making textures in a more efficient manner by using factories. But in order to use these factories, coal was required. Coal was mainly found in England, which was one of the main reasons the Industrial Revolution started in England. But it mostly started in the cities of England. By the time of the revolution started, many lives changed. Many types of machines were used in factories in order to make textiles. These machines were used to make yarn, woven cloth, and other textiles. These textiles came out much better because the strands were much tighter because it was done by machine, not by hand. Due to the production of textiles in factories, people from the countryside were forced to move into cities. They had to move because they needed to work, but rich people would live away from all the factories in the countryside with a lot of land. Before the Revolution, about 22,000 people lived in Manchester. During the Revolution, the population grew up to 180,000. Due to all the population changes, a lot of disease has entered the city, infecting a lot of people. It came from other people and also the horrible working condition of the workers. In London, between 1831 and 1832, about 50% of the population died due to diseases. But that was not all that changed. As people moved into cities, workers' lives have changed forever. They lived with very little light and very little energy. Their houses were filled with dirt and misery. But they still had their festivals until they were banned by the local government. If a worker left their job to go to a festival, they would be fined for leaving. People had a hard time transitioning. Workers had very little power in their job. There was about 1,500,000 people who were unemployed and employed. But most of the people who were unemployed were skilled workers on the farm. They had really bad working conditions and wanted better. But the government would not allow it due to the Combination Act, which did not allow people to unionize and form groups. But workers were also made up of children. Child labor, unfortunately, was pretty bad. They would use machines that were simple to use, but since they were small, they were able to fit through small places that adults cannot fit into. They were paid very little. Compared to an adult, about 1/10 of the adult's pay. In the first factory, there were about 1,150 children working in a spinning factory, but a bill was passed to reduce the child labor to only 10 hours a day. During the Industrial Revolution, people migrated from peaceful countryside to a busy city filled with hundreds of thousands of people. Their living and working conditions changed drastically. Even the children had to change their lifestyle. Overall, the Industrial Revolution was a big turning point in world history and changed people's lives forever.